Welcome back. Wake up, Woodward. You guys can
You're
see
shining.
The sun is out, man. Brad Holmes is in his bag. The players, they're just pumped up and ready to get this next season going so they can get back to the top of the NFC and this time persevere through. I love the absolute confidence. And we had the legend on this morning, but shout out to KG in the sound booth. Shout out to JB the GOAT in the TD booth. Shout out to Matt Broder as well, a resident Detroit Lions and Tigers beat writer. And you guys know I cover Pistons here for Woodward Sports. Thank you to everything that the legendary Mr. Rob Beard did. This segment, KG, if you got that graphic too, we got to talk about the Pistons, man. We have to. The trade deadline is on the way. There are a lot of fans that are wondering what's going to happen. But before we do that, I got to do this just for the feels, man, right? Y'all gonna help me do this drum roll for Mr. Rob Beard?
Is this a Woodward Pistons drum roll?
Segment, man. Let's do it.
I'm in.
Hey, yo! Shout out to the legend Detroit News, Rob Beard. Brother, how you doing? And welcome to the show.
Hey, it's Wednesday. You know how I'm doing. I'm doing all right. You out here doing reads, man. We didn't have reads on the Woodward Pistons podcast. That's how I know you made it. You doing reads.
Oh, man. Well, we got to kick things off. Detroit Pistons with Rod's thoughts. Obviously the flavor of the week right now is the NBA trade deadline. Zach LaVine apparently sawed his foot off the closer the Pistons got to trade. Got to trade for him.
Pretty much.
You got to kick this thing off, brother.
Zach LaVine, what are you doing, man? You gotta pack those legs in carbonite. But this is the issue with Zach LaVine, and this was the hesitation that I had with that is he's oft injured, and can you pay a guy like that 40 plus up to 50 million in his contract it's the injury situation. So the people who will say this is Blake Griffin 2.0, I mean, I can't say you're wrong. It's another injury. He's out for the season. Do you want to go down that road again? Probably not. I think this was the buyer beware. You were looking at a car and something happened and it broke down and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm glad I didn't buy that one. But that is Zach LaVine for the most part. But I think you still have to do something. You can't just sell me the dream of cap space in the summer is going to be better. Is this group of free agents better? Is the draft going to be that much better? Even if you get the number one pick, are you getting a franchise level player on the Wembanyama, Paolo Banchero, Cade Cunningham level? Probably not. So what is this summer going to look like that makes me believe anything different is coming next year than what we've already seen? This team just cannot stay away from turnovers and pull out the games that they need to be a competitive team night to night in this league.
I'm so glad you said that too, because I wrote an article about it. I know we covered it in the pod as well. Like, my litmus test was that for what they're supposed to do and who gets to do it this summer, I wanted to see them be able to go and do something at this NBA trade deadline of consequence. I really did. Whether that was a healthier Zach LaVine or whether that was them kind of pulling making the deal for Tobias Harris. And I get it. There are people out there who are saying, it might be better to go at Tobias Harris this summer if you do know that you have a deal with him. You don't have to give up assets to get him. But I almost wonder, and I wanted to get your take on this as well. How much does this young team, how much do the young players that you're going to move forward with need to see something different the rest of the season? Because I don't want to lose those guys on this team. I know this. Detroit Pistons right now, they're not necessarily the team that Detroit fans are really high on right now. But I do know that they want to see them win. We see that this arena is still getting, top 15 in terms of attendance. There's still a hot topic whenever you see some type of news about Pistons. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how important is it for the Pistons to kind of do something, even if it's giving up an asset now that you wouldn't have to in the summer, but to make sure you can start this kind of culture thing? We see how important culture is for the Lions. How important do you believe it is for them to do something at this deadline and make it happen?
I think it's vital, and that's just me. I think it's vital to start something and moving in the direction. So the same way the Lions, we talked about that 0-10-1 start, you just need to start moving in the direction where you can see and say, okay, in the offseason, we know how Tobias, if that's who they end up going to get, how he fits with Cade, how he fits in this offense. Now we've got the offseason to tinker with that because we have some film to work with. If you wait until the offseason, you have none of that. You're doing everything in theory and what you see in workouts in the summer, and that's just not the same at all. It depends on what that asset that you have to go and get to give up to get a Tobias Harris would be. So the other piece of that is I think Tobias would be excellent for this locker room as a dude, as a person in the locker room. Tobias is near the top of my list of just guys who get it and understand in terms of professionalism and what you have to teach to younger guys. He's a vet's vet. So that would help in that sense. And he's not going off and throwing chairs in the locker room if they're losing. I think he's take a young guy under his wing and be able to build. And he's not a tier 1 scorer, which is what I think they need, but he can help. And he's a power forward in the sense that defensively, is he guarding Giannis? Is he guarding LeBron? No, he doesn't solve that problem, but you need scoring. You need somebody. I would be disappointed if they kept Bojan because, again, you need to show me what the next phase of this looks like. And if you start with Tobias and you start showing me what the rebuild and the reconstruction of this looks like heading into the summer, then you have a better idea of what you need in free agency. Everything going together at once and happening within a few days of each other between the draft and free agency is just a lot to do at once. But I want to see the early picture of what this looks like with
they went 10-14. I see KG over there shaking his head. It feels like that's so long ago. But I thought it did set them up well culture-wise. I thought it set them up well chemistry-wise. But then they went and they tinkered with that chemistry by getting rid of Jeremy Grant. And then Cade Cunningham obviously got injured to start that next season in Game 12. And things began to just kind of fall apart. I'm looking for the Pistons, just like you said, to go establish an identity, start to establish a culture, because the one thing that we've always identified with Detroit Pistons basketball, especially if they were winning, was a tough, gritty mentality, that going to work, that we're going to hustle, we're going to out-hustle. So you might have the stars on your side of the ball, but we're going to play like a team on the offensive side, and we're going to do all-out hustle on the defensive side of the ball as well. And you just don't see that. You just don't see that as an identity, a part of this team right now. So I'm hoping that as they continue to build this thing out, they get back to that identity first and then try to build on top of that foundation. But with the Killian Hayes stuff, what are some things you've heard about this? Do you believe that a deal is imminent at all? We heard some rumors and some things out there that Troy Weaver actually was probably looking to trade him last offseason, but that Monty Williams wanted to be able to get a shot at seeing what he could do to kind of resurrect his career, especially since he's a low turnover guy, high assist guy, but he just can't score. And in this NBA, even as a point guard, I feel like the days of the Ricky Rubio type guards being highly effective, I just don't think that works in today's NBA at all.
No, and so the thing with Killian is that you feel like this thing has run its course, and if the reports are true that both sides are really looking at making some kind of move, then I think you do something because you're not going to pay him an extension or a new deal and just figure out something else. And we were talking about that. We've been talking about that for weeks. Like, how much would you pay Killian? If he's good, 8, 10? No, that's too much. You can't really do that in the economy that we're in. But the thing that I will caution is that you have never heard a Troy Weaver trade before it happened.
Yeah.
Since he's been here, I have never heard it on a week before or a few days before. Hey, there's rumblings he's going to trade for somebody. You've never seen it because it never happens. He keeps things under wraps until you see some of those things start to come out officially, right when that trade is official. So I think that's the key here is, yeah, it might be Killian, but it might not be to any one of those teams. It might be to somebody completely different. We haven't heard any big Bojan rumors of him going somewhere. That's kind of the way Troy operates, is that he's not going to put that stuff out there so that you can hear it. And he's not testing to see public sentiment and how people feel about it. If he likes it, he's going to do it. And so it's been quiet. We haven't heard very specific things that the Pistons have been considering or their name coming up in trade speculation, but I think you'll see something before the deadline. I think that's just the way he understands what the assignment is here, is to try to start moving forward with what they're doing.
I'm hoping so. Like, I do. I want to see a completely different walk out of this team, a completely different life. Sometimes trades can kind of rejuvenate that. We did see after they made the trade, a lot of people thought it was going to be lackluster for Danilo Gallinari and Mike Muscala. The Pistons went on a 3-4 stretch. 3-pointers, the offense, everything went up. It kind of fits more of what Monty Williams' system is. And so I'm hoping that Monty Williams and Troy Weaver, which I believe is the most important thing right now, can get on the same page about the types of players they want to identify and get them in here quickly, because 7 days before the start of last year's free agency, Troy Weaver stated, you know what, we're going to kind of take a year to assess this team underneath Monty Williams. Looking back on it now, that might not have been the right thing to do. I know they thought that the vets they brought in were going to be vets that could make it work for them, but we see in hindsight exactly what that is. Now I'm hoping they go out there and they get some surefire players for this team. I believe if you wait until free agency, you're really putting yourself up against it, because other teams are going to be able to go out there and realistically bid for some of the players you want. We've seen them miss out on Pascal and OG and whatnot, and it was going to be a long shot already, and that's in the trade market. Go out there, get something, change this culture up right away, man, and give them something else to kind of look forward to. Whether or not you believe Troy Weaver should be here, I know that there's a lot of people out there who believe he shouldn't. The reality is he has the job right now, and I'm hoping that he does something much better than what the last 2 years has looked like. But Rod, thank you so much, man, for your time. Thank you so much for being here, man. Continue to crush the job. You guys follow his work, and all of the different beat writers as well and reporters at the Detroit News. Rod Beard, our sports editor-in-chief, I continue to salute thee. But
appreciate you guys.
Any last words?
No. This West Coast trip. This will be interesting. Let's find out where that one win is going to come from. Somewhere on this West Coast trip.
Definitely. Thank you, brother, man. Thank you for your time, and have a blessed day.
All right, guys.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care.
Yes, sir.
Cool. That was awesome. I needed some Pistons fix. I needed my fix of all of our 4 Detroit sports teams. Thanks for setting that up.
Yeah,
I know we're gonna talk some Tigers. Maybe brief what he was just saying. Talk about that a little more. But
yeah, definitely.
Before we do that, can you tell them about Swiss Insurance?